All live here on WSTA Radio. Brought to you in part by Furniture Inn, Innovative, Lisa Melchior, Megamix Production, T's Chicken Fry Restaurant, MDM Entertainment, Furniture Plus, Colormax, WSTA Radio, and IQ Events Group.
Decision 2012, bringing the candidates to you on primetime, live. Good afternoon. Welcome to our second segment, candidates for St. Thomas St. John District Senate seats. It's VI Decision 2012, live radio on Lucky 13, WSTA 1340 AM, and on our websites, www.lucky13wsta.com, focusvi.com. We welcome you to Decision 2012, brought to you by Innovative, Colormax, Furniture Inn, T's Restaurant, MDM Inc., Furniture Plus. And we also have Choice Wireless with us, John's Auto Center, Global Training Center, and Jimmy's and Son. We want to welcome the candidates and our candidates for this afternoon's panel or sitting in. Candidate Shirley Sadler, candidate Lawrence Olive, candidate Joseph Gums, candidate Justin Harrigan, and candidate Cecilia Melina Emanuel, along with candidate Kent Bernier. We want to welcome you all. Let's introduce our panelists one more time. For this round, we have former Commissioner, Principal, Senator Liston Davis. We also like to introduce our second panelist, Dr. Leonard Richardson, professor and a Savanero. Yes. We have former Senate President, St. Jonian, Senator Armando Rocky Liber. We want to welcome our panelists. We're going to also give the candidates a chance to introduce themselves. We have a 2-minute introduction, yourself, your platform, and after that, we'll be turning it over to the panelists to ask questions. Okay, let's start with our first candidate for the St. Thomas St. John District. We'll start with candidate Cecilia Melina Emanuel. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I am Cecilia Melina Emanuel, candidate for the St. Thomas St. John Water Island District. I'm here today to answer questions and to let the people know where I stand on the issues. I'm not going to take a lot of time to introduce myself. We'll get to that once the questions are being asked. I'm just going to say, let's get going.
Thank you very much. Okay. We have candidate Joseph Gums. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, the panels, the rest of the aspirants here today, and to the listening and viewing public. My name is Joseph Wojo Gums. I'm number 28 on your ballot, and I am an ICM candidate for the 30th legislature. I would like to let you know that I am looking forward to this opportunity to present before you the facts as I see it, as what needs to be done to improve what we need to do in these islands for the people, for the businesses, and for all those who come and visit and enjoy these islands. It's important to say that things have been running poorly and we need to improve. And by improving, we need to look forward to the future. We need to be able to see what needs to be done, not just in the present, but on long-range goals. I'm planning to use long-range thinking, both on energy, business, health, police protection. These are things that need to be looked at, not at what's happening now, but what needs to be corrected for the future. And the future is also our children, so education is also important. We have to look at what we need to do to improve not just education, but the students themselves and the parents that are with these students in order to move everyone forward jointly. I'm looking forward to working with you because by partnership we improve these islands. Nothing can be done by a single individual, but by working together we can improve these islands, and I'm looking forward to doing that with you. And I'm imploring that I have your support and your cooperation in that matter. I'd like to thank you for giving me this opportunity, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much. Our next candidate, Ms. Shirley Sadler.
Good afternoon. My name is Shirley Sadler, and I am a big woman for a big job. I come to you today seeking your support as vying for a seat in the 30th legislature of the U.S. Virgin Islands. My platform is based on education. I believe that we have to improve upon education for our children, giving them a fighting chance for the future. I'm standing on a platform that I built on book bag to briefcase. I believe in it. I believe in giving our children a fighting chance, giving them an opportunity to excel. And book bag to briefcase, I strongly believe will do that. I'm also for stamping out fraud and corruption in government. I believe that we lose a lot of money to fraud and corruption on all levels of government, and we need to be able to get rid of that. So I would like to put in policies in place to protect our monies. I am for the empowerment of women. I believe that women should be empowered to take back their given rights that we give away so freely, and to start molding women for politics. I am also for my biggest plan right now that I'm working on, and I strongly believe in this more than anything else, is to stabilize our economy. And to do that, I strongly believe that we can do that with seizing Hovenza through eminent domain. And I stand forth on that, and I'll give you more information on that. So I'm going to ask you for your support once more, giving Shirley Sadler, number 22, a big woman for a big job, your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next candidate, Mr. Lawrence Olive. Good afternoon.
And good afternoon to everyone. Greetings and salutations to all. I'm Lawrence Rican Olive. I'm number 26 on the ballot, and I'm asking for everyone to go on November the 6th and remember number 26, Lawrence Rican Olive. And I'm here today to expound on a lot of different topics. I'm not an expert in everything, but I'm here to give my views and bring my solutions to the problems that we're facing here in this territory. So again, I'm number 26 on November 6th. My name is Lawrence Rican Olive. Come on out and vote, everyone. Democrat, Republican, ICM, Independent. Just remember, let your conscience be a guide. Vote number 26, Lawrence Rican Olive.
Thank you very much. Our next candidate, Justin Harrigan. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon to all. My name is Justin Harrigan Sr. I'm number 4 on the ballot. Number 14 on the ballot. I'm running as a Democratic candidate. I want to thank WSTA and all the sponsors that have taken the time to put this program on, and to congratulate my fellow candidates here this afternoon. I am here running because I live in this territory. I am from the territory, and I see that we're in short need of true leaders. We are having a serious problem in this territory. I felt compelled to get up after having been retired for 4 years to offer my services, my training, and my expertise to help this territory. I've been a former director of the Fraud Prevention and Control Unit in the Department of Human Services. I implemented that program, I recommended hirement, and I managed the unit for 13 years. I later on became the director of the Office of Veteran Affairs, where I managed for another 5.5 years, supporting our veterans and making sure they got the benefits that were due to them. I intend to be an advocate for the veterans of this territory, as well as the senior citizens who are right now under serious attack by the LEAC, by the increase in health insurance, and I feel that I can help based on my experience, my training, and my knowledge. Again, I am Justin Harrigan Sr., number 14 on the ballot. I'm asking you for your support. No matter the party, I am inclusive. I work with everyone that comes in my midst, and I feel I can get this job done. So again, Justin Harrigan Sr., number 14 on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And our final candidate, Kent Bernier Sr. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Ms. Ottley. I just want to thank WSTA for placing such a horrific situation here, bringing my colleagues, and as well a great panel. I think this is the type of leadership in respect to institution. My willingness to serve is beyond just being a local Virgin Islander. I see a community in crisis. I see our senior citizens dying because of poor leadership and mismanagement at the legislature. I want to let the people of Virgin Islands know I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve at a level beyond just not talking, but rolling up my sleeves with my colleagues. And I know this is a time in history that we must get the people that are capable of doing the job. Not the friends, but I want to let you know the job can be done. The only thing to fear is fear itself. That's what our President Roosevelt told us. But I want to let the people know it starts with education. The beauty with life, as President Obama said, education with legislation. That's what I bring to the table. I want to let you know that as a former Public Finance Authority Director, we are $4.2 billion in debt for 100,000 people. Our GDP is $3.6 billion. We are actually underwater. We're not in a position to be held by the United States at this moment because they are $16 trillion in debt and their GDP is $14 trillion. Their unfunded liability is $152 trillion. Ours is $1.4 billion. What I'm here to say today is I'm willing to work with my colleague with my expertise to turn this economy around. We already have the legislations on the books. Our problem here in this community is lack of implementation. I'm here to say to you, we can take care of this problem as a community, as we've done through the hurricanes, and I'm saying to you, I'm here with my members today to pledge to engage in turning this economy around. And I want to let you know, I'm Kent Bernier, your independent Democrat for the 21st century. Push number 36 on November 6th. God bless.
Thank you very much. Okay, we start with our panelists. We start with former Senate President Armando Rocky Liebert with the first question.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to everyone, all the candidates.
Good afternoon.
You could pose your question to whoever you want.
All right, let's go. Aspirant, normally when someone runs for office, it is perceived that they are going to look at their expertise or their background training or the area of work that they once, perform. So I'm going to go straight to the police officers. I'm going to start with Rican Olive, Lawrence Rican Olive, and Wojo Gums. Public safety. Having been involved in public safety and looking at the issues surrounding crime, etc., what would be your plan? What it is you plan to do that's different from what's happening now that is going to alleviate or is going to help this community in dealing, how we deal with crime?
Let's start with Mr. Olive.
Okay, thanks for that question. My professional opinion is we have to revisit the legislations that are right now on the book. We have to strengthen those legislations. Those legislations or those actual, different crime bills that were passed in past legislations has to be strengthened. We have to create an atmosphere where we have a Marine task force with both federal and local officers. We have to have the introduction of guns our priority here in this territory because we don't manufacture guns in this territory. Guns are coming in every day through the different areas like the post office, the waterways that we are surrounded with, the different delivery areas, the package delivery areas. Those are the areas that guns are coming in these territories, and we have to stop the inflow of guns to the territory so that we can control crime. Go back into legislation, strengthen legislation dealing with the gun legislation, the juvenile delinquency, all of these different legislations needs to be strengthened so that we can have a more comprehensive outlook as to what it is taking place in this territory dealing with crime.
Thank you. Mr. Gums?
Again, an excellent question. My 30 years of experience within the VIPD, starting from a patrol officer up to a command rank officer, police lieutenant, have shown me one thing, and it's been the most important thing that I've learned. That without community involvement, we cannot get the crime situation in this territory under hand. We must be able to reach out to the community, make bridges, and build trust for then the community to cooperate with us in order to apprehend criminals and also to prevent crimes. The community is our best eyes and ears out there. They see everything, they know everything, they hear everything. It's for us to get this information from the community to the police, where we could then put that information to best use by apprehending and preventing crimes. My plan to institute this type of cooperation between the community and the police is for where the community could reach out to the police officers which they are familiar with, which they know, who they know, and then give this information to them. Because right now, as it is, the policies within the police department say if it's a homicide, it has to go to major crime. If it's a burglary, it has to go to the investigation bureau. If it's a traffic accident, then it has to go to the traffic bureau. Under my thinking, and what we need to do in order to make a difference, is where anyone who knows an officer, whether they're in St. John and the crime took place in St. Thomas, they could be able to reach out to that officer. With the police command structure in compliance with this, they will be able to then be able to meet with these individuals and then move forward in resolving the crime. So what I'm putting forward is that the people could then move to the police officers who they have confidence, and subsequently it will build more trust as these crimes are being solved and they realize that the information they give will not end up in the public or out there in the community. Thank you.
Mr. Moderator, I neglected to say that Mr. Harrigan was in law enforcement, so I would like him to answer the question also.
Please do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator. Yes, I was a former police officer here in the Virgin Islands. I subsequently obtained a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, administration, and planning, and that is my forte, planning. I work with many persons to get things done. As far as how we can improve what's going on here criminally, in my platform, I made mention about securing funding to provide for more law enforcement personnel, for more equipment, for more training in the area of forensic science and deployment of force. Most recently, the commissioner made some mention about deploying his force on a 10-hour shift. It became a little bit of uproar. But I'm glad to see that he's looking at the resources that he has and he's trying to use it to the most, maximize what he has. I am trained, I have been experienced with forensic evidence gathering. I have seen how to detect striations mark on a projectile fired from a particular weapon. You can retrieve a projectile from a site, take it to the lab, fire another projectile from a weapon suspected to be used in that crime, and you can compare the two bullets. That I have been able to determine. I am experienced in how to look for marks on a windshield that was broken, and you could see how many bullet holes are in there, and you can tell which bullet was fired first. So I am experienced in that area. I look forward to being able to help this community in bringing crime under control. I am in support of the bill that was just signed by the governor. We need all the help we can get. We just need to sit to the table, determine what authority we're going to have those individuals exercise, and I think that we would be well on our way. For me, the police right now is overrun, it's outgunned, and we need to get all the assistance we can receive to make this a safer community that's going to bolster tourists coming to this territory and our citizens being safe and living a quality of life that we all want to enjoy.
Thank you very much. Next question from Dr. Richardson to either of our panelists, including Mr. Bernier, Mrs. Sadler, and Mrs. Emanuel.
Very well. Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. To the panelists as named by the moderator, my question is this. With what spurs do you prick the sides of your intent. Are they your intent or the intent of our people?
You want me to proceed?
Okay, yes,
Sure.
go ahead, Mr.
It
President.
has to be the intent of the people because that's the individuals that serve, I have to serve, and they're the ones that are hiring me for the job. I mean, I can stop there, but since we're in time, I'll take advantage and respond to this criminal situation with the police. I want to let you know specifically in 2001, the government of the Virgin Islands was given an opportunity to go to Manchester, England, to consider how police prevention of crime. It's a specialist force. We were honored to consider the Cisco system and the M16 of London, the tube, how you do prevention. It's the new whirlwind of technology. The $100 million that we use to borrow for broadband should have been considered first to be used for high tech. It's actually surveillance is the future because of the environment we're in. What we're lacking here is vision as to how to protect ourselves. The key factor is the federal government doesn't mind getting involved unless you have a structure. We don't have any structure. As our former colleague said, the system itself is rotating and conditions that beyond the normal conditions of working. And that's what's happening in the police department. I will not have all these subunits out there. You have 6 units out there in different departments, paying rent, paying electricity. We need to have those men on the ground. We need to have a van, and every 4 hours we rotate all these officers throughout the island so they could understand. Don't have them in one location where they only understand one setting. But the way it's done in New York, it's actually surveillance, prevention. The biggest key to our society here is prevention. We've lost it because we're bringing people from outside that don't understand our culture and what we're about. And that's what my former colleague, Jojo Gums, is saying. We have gone into foreign land that doesn't protect us from ourselves. This gun issue is something that I hold highly to our Congress lady. Eric Holder, the AG of the United States, the Caribbean, the Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico is a national security problem. We need leadership on both sides to correct this problem.
Okay. We have a 2-minute time allotment. We ask you to watch the clock, and, you know, let's respect the time so we can get everyone in. Next question to Dr. Richardson. Do you have, do you want the same question
Yes,
to candidate Sadler and Milliner Emanuel?
That is correct. Thank you.
Ms. Sadler?
Well, I like the question. We are supposed to have our interests before the people and for the betterment of all the people. And when I say that, I'm going back to Cyril King. Everything we do must be for progress for whom and at what cost. But in all of it, it must be at the center and the core of all of us, not just a few of us, but the majority of us. Right now, we are living in a community where crime is at an all-time high. Our economic struggles are getting worse and worse every day, and it will get worse as we prolong. And we have to have things that when we put it in place and we start to plan, our plan must be for everyone to prosper and to be a part of the betterment of what we have to give. So I agree with everyone else that it is for us, not for me, but for the people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, candidate Milliner Emanuel.
For us. And the reason I say for us is because it pricks me unmercilessly to see what's happening in our territory, to look at our children, and to see where there are no avenues for them to progress. My candidacy actually came about from my son, who we were speaking one day in the car, and he said, "You guys are always talking about other people making a change, other people doing things. Why don't you be the change?" That's where it comes from. When your child turns to you and tells you that, that's a gut check. You have to decide whether you're going to step up, stand up, and own up to what you need to do. So that's why I'm here. I look around the territory. I grew up here. I don't see the same islands that I grew up in. And no, you don't want to go back to the past, but you do want to bring some of the good things from the past to the present and go forward with it. So that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm doing this.
Thank you very much. Our next question will be from former Senator Liston Davis. One of the things I want to throw out there, because these candidates are running for the St. Thomas, St. John district, we're going to test your knowledge on St. John and what you'll bring to the table to help the people of St. John. Land taxes issue and the park issue, we're going to find out. But, Mr. Davis, you got the floor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Moderator. I had a burning question in mind, but I'm going to put it on the side burner because you mentioned St. John. And there is two present problems in St. John, and I want to know how the candidates can handle this. The tax issue in St. John. You know, we had a revised tax in which the mill rates are much lower in the St. Thomas, St. Croix district than in St. John, and it has been quite a dilemma for the St. Johnians in terms of their taxes are tenfold. The other issue in St. John has to do with acquiring land for school. And the third issue in St. John has to do with improved infrastructure. Now, as aspiring lawmakers, how would you go about addressing each one of those particular concerns if there's no money to address them?
Okay.
How would you go about doing that?
All right.
But if you want to put the finances aside, give me your insight as to addressing those three cogent issues in St. John.
Okay, let's start with candidate Olive for the question for Senator Davis.
Thanks again for that question. Well, first of all, we got to look at the St. John Capital Improvement Funds. If this government, this administration, and the legislature continue to raid that fund, obviously we will not have money to do anything in St. John. St. John is a very unique area, and with the funding that we have in the Capital Improvement Fund for St. John, in this legislature, every time you turn around, the money is being used for something other than what it is intended to. St. John infrastructure will never get fixed if they use the funding that is there for that purpose. The tax issue is an issue that has to be revisited, where if I have a $100,000 property and a man comes next to me and builds $1 million property, I don't see why I should be paying the tax rate that he is paying. So those things has to be revisited, and legislation has to be passed where, in fact, if I am a $100,000 homeowner, I pay that rate of taxes based on what my structure is actually at. In reference to the school is something that is needed. Again, if they continue to raid the monies out of the St. John Capital Improvement Funds, we will never be able to build a school in St. John. But we need to first find the property to build the school. And that property is something that I think it was being worked out, where some land was supposed to be swapped with St. Croix, and I don't know if that ever came to fruition, but the property is our first thing that we need to find to build that school in St. John for the St. Johnians.
Thank you. Candidate Joseph Gums.
We need to have tax reform when it comes to the island of St. John. It's the smallest of the three islands to include, except Water Island. However, they pay a greater degree in taxes on their property due to the fact, largely because the national park takes up much of the island. There's only a few, most of the island, since it's national park, that only leaves a little bit for the people to live on, and that's why I perceive that the cost of the land and thus the taxes are so high. it really calls for a specialist, and I'm not a specialist in this field, and I will have to locate those to look into that matter in regarding to inventing a tax scale that will be equitable, because what Mr. Olive mentioned, we have that problem where we have people with million-dollar houses next to people that have less than that for their homes, and it seems like the taxes is being based on the area they're in. So that has to be worked out where it could be done equitably. When it comes to the land for the school, I believe the federal government is someone that we could approach, because since most of the land is federal lands, and since we're not using it for a public or a private venture, that it could be used for a school. The land could be given up to us. Again, when it comes to building without money and government, we could only look towards private and government ventures. That's the only way we could do it. We're going to have to really step forward to the private sector and see what we could offer them and what they could offer us in return for us to build these schools and basically bring the education up on the island of St. John. St. John's been without a high school, and that's something that needs to be done as we look forward to the future and trying to determine how we're going to grow the island of St. John and its populace. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Our next question will be from Senator Montnoy Library. But we got to remind our listeners, you're listening to VI Decision 2012, brought to you by Innovative, Color Max, Furniture Plus, IQ Events, T's Restaurant, MDM Inc., Choice Wireless, John's Auto Center, Jimmy and Son, that is, and Global Training Enterprise. We want to thank those great sponsors for making it possible. We're here at the Wynwood Hotel, and we have St. Thomas, St. John District candidates. The next question from Mr. Library.
Mr. Moderator, I want to go back to the question we just had, because I'm quite familiar with it. I hear a lot of reforms, etc. But I want you to know it's a very complex issue. Yes. It's not an issue that just happens overnight. I don't know, I'm going to start off with Mr. Bernier. And are you familiar with the Burns Ice Plant court ruling where this whole thing came out of? Are you familiar with the delegate? She was just here. With her action as it relates to property taxes in St. John. And then I want to know how have you thought about it? And maybe the rest of the candidates can, because it's important, it's a very important issue. How have you been studying the issue as to how we can arrive at a formula? Remember, there's a formula has to be territory-wide that addresses this issue. And so give us your analysis of it, and, so we can try to develop some consensus, because that's a problem that's been plaguing the island for quite some time. And it's only in 2004 that the government of the Virgin Islands, the legislature of the Virgin Islands, had the authority to set our own taxes. Before that, we could not. And so now the ball is in our court. What it is you're going to do to make it happen.
Mr. Bernier, go ahead.
Thank you, Senator. That's a very good question, and that falls right into my concern. That's why we need a tax study commission. It's on the books. We are lacking the leadership to actually take care of these problems. My colleague said professional people involved. It has to be professional people that understand the nature of our cultural setting. The key factor for that is having someone from the tax basis. It has to be leveled throughout the Virgin Islands. We've come to a point where we cannot be taking the people's land anymore. Property tax is not to take people's land away. That's why you need a tax study commission. Your 5-year comprehensive sustainability implementation plan has to be a part of it to restructure this whole economy. And that's the problem. The problem is we are not implementing the existing legislation to clean up this mess. I would have gone back and said to when President Bill Clinton actually brought in Bobbitt from Interior and actually made us take Interior, took away our waterways 3 miles out. That was the time when we should have put the pressure on to get land in exchange for the school. The problem we have in that we aren't capable of doing the right thing is having the right people in place and leaving the politics out of it. That's what our problem is. I don't see any problem with the Virgin Islands getting the support. I was in Washington when Gail Norton and David Coyne was around. We raised $100 million. The Interior Department was willing to do an MOU for the Waste Management Authority for $10 million a year over the next 10 years. And our governor refused to engage in 2006. We have a lack of leadership. I am telling you right now, Charles Grassley, a very good friend of mine, they actually give the people in the farmers in Atlanta $200 an acre not to produce feed to subsidize them. This is the type of leadership you need. People that understand how Interior works with our local Senate as a trust territory.
Okay, we're going to ask candidate Justin Harrigan, same question on St. John.
Well, I concur with both gentlemen on my both sides, left and right. The Byrne decision, I thought that we had gotten out of the woods, but then, you know, it seems as if we just scratched the surface. That being the case, and it being such a hot button issue, I will revisit the issue again by bringing in the experts, let them know where we were, what was done, where we are, possibly where we need to go. I like the idea of someone building a home that costs $1 million. That individual should be taxed at that rate and not the guy next door with the $250,000 with the same formula. So that's how I would approach it. Bring in some experts and let's start this process all over again, and hopefully we can put this issue to rest. As far as the school, you spoke about with the school. I think a study should be done to see the utilization of that building. It can't just be a high school, because you're going to have rooms that are not being used. I don't know how many high school students we have. I'm almost certain it's less than 300 or fewer than 300 high school students that attend from St. John. So we need to do a feasibility study and see what we can build, a structure that would implement or accommodate other grades in that building.
Okay, candidate Shirley Caesar. Shirley Caesar. Sadler,
okay.
with my head.
That's okay.
Blessed, blessed.
That's blessed. She was a powerful woman.
Okay.
So that's okay. Thank you.
Good job.
I have no problem with being called Shirley Caesar.
Okay, Sadler.
But I am Shirley Sadler, a big woman for a big job. In regards to the question, I believe that the first thing we have to do is go back to our legislation. We were given the right to now make our own property taxes. And we have to look at fair feasibility. We have to be fair with what we put in place. What is fair to the people of St. John? Now, St. John, we say we're looking for their own thing, but you know, in reality, St. John is a part of the St. Thomas, St. John district. And it starts with the legislation that we put out. Because when we look at St. John, we are looking at it's divided from St. Thomas. It is not. So when we are passing bills and we are sharing up the money, that money should be shared up under St. Thomas, St. John. So the needs of St. John should be met, and they should be met at the time the legislation comes out for budgeting. We should know what we need to give to St. John and give St. John its rightful share. And that comes in with the commissioners when they're passing out their laws and they're directing their subordinate on how to do it. They should look at St. John and say, well, St. John roads need to be fixed. This needs to be done for St. John, and make sure that it gets their rightful part of the budget. So I don't think it's so much in changing, but when we come to the property tax now, we have that right. And we need to sit down and plan as what is fair. Fair market value of the property is what they should be taxed for, nothing else. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Sadler. Okay, we're going to ask Ms. Milliner Emmanuel your response to that particular question on St. John.
Well, I think pretty much everything has been said. I'm not an expert on this issue at all, but what I believe is that all parties have to come to the table in order to be able for us to come with a viable solution to the problem. No one person has all the answers. No one person knows everything. So therefore, there has to be a way for us to decide to sit down, look at what laws we already have on the books, what things are already addressing it, does it need to be strengthened, does it need to be changed, do we need to re-implement, do we need to go back to the table and start over? Those are the things we need to be able to do. This is something that didn't happen overnight. It won't be solved overnight, but we need to start the process of solving it so that we don't continue to have these issues.
Thank you very much. Mr. Olive, we'll give you the last chance if you want to talk about the question Mr. Liebert posed as far as the school, the taxes, that type of stuff, St. John. Or you did it already?
Yeah, I did that question
with
Senator Davis.
So the next question comes from the one and only Dr. Richardson.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. We have listened and we have heard a number of platitudes. We have heard a number of things. The question then is, and I'm asking this of every aspirant, are you willing to march into proverbial hell for a heavenly cause, our people of the Virgin Islands?
Good question.
Be careful of your response.
Okay. We'll then start again with Ms. Solene. You're number one.
Thanks for the question once again. I don't think anyone can say in this territory that I wouldn't march into hell for this territory, because I've been there and I've been there and back many times. Okay? The people of the Virgin Islands is our first priority.
Correct.
When you have corrupt leaders running a country and people can stand up to them and tell them when they're wrong, that's me. I have done that for the last 6 years. I have exposed the corruption that has taken place in these Virgin Islands, from the legislature to government house. And I am not afraid to stand up and march side by side with anyone who is willing to stand up for the people of this territory, because my motto is death before dishonor. And I will march on to make these islands a better place.
Thank you very much. Mr. Gums?
Yes, I would have to agree, because I have also been there. My service to the country has been in the military, the U.S. Armed Forces. My service to this community has been a police officer for 30 years, working St. John, working St. Thomas, working St. Croix, all shifts, all times of nights, all activities, even being injured on the job, has showed my dedication and where I feel the people of the Virgin Islands need to be represented and protected. Also, me being a union leader, both as the Central Labor Council that represents unions under the AFL-CIO, and also being the president of the Law Enforcement Supervisors Union that represents lieutenants, sergeants, captains, and both VIPD and also the Bureau of Corrections and YRC. It's important to know that by demonstrating your ability to lead and by demonstrating what you are willing to do on behalf of these people of the Virgin Islands, it's saying, where is your heart? Where is your intentions? Where do you want to lead these people of these islands that you are a part of? I feel that I've demonstrated that by not just by word, by deed, because talk is cheap. We have to look at who is actually performing and who is willing to do above and beyond what is necessary in order to make sure that our people get what they deserve. We have to work to look forward to getting what we deserve from the federal government also, because we have shed our blood for these countries, for these United States, and we deserve to get our fair share back. So I am looking forward to doing more. I have done what I have done already, and I'm always willing to do more for the people of these islands.
Thank you very much. Next candidate, Mr. Harrigan.
Yes, I don't know about a proverbial hell, but my being here on this campaign trail is solely, as I stated in my introduction, it's for the people. I am fully retired, 4 years now, but I just could not sit by and see the condition of this territory that continues to decline with the fiscal crisis, the moral decline. I've decided I am going to offer my services, my training, my expertise to help. That's all I'm about. I worked in the police force in 1974 to 78. Very short time. But before I left, the police department had gone through a strike, which was initiated by myself and some others, and we had gotten a contractual union bargaining unit in place. So I have been very active in trying to get people to become involved. This is their life. I can't fight it. I can fight some of it for them, but I need them also to get up and fight along with me. I am willing to work with them, work with the people. Whatever it is they need, I will try my utmost best to get it. This is not about me, honestly speaking, but it's about the people of the territory, the future of these children, the future of these islands. I am willing to do, if elected, to do whatever I can to help people out of the plight in which they are in. I visited a home, a neighborhood. The one lady explained that the bus stops on the main road. The senior citizens have to walk almost a mile in to get to their house. That's unfair. That's unconscionable. I will fight for something like that to put buses on the road to get these people closer to their homes. The tax, the increase on the premium for health insurance, I am 65, 66 years old. I'm a victim of that. I was going to fight for something like that to make sure that in the future we are given due notice and due time to make a prudent decision and not just 5 or 6 days to make a life-changing decision. But I will fight for the people.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sadler.
That's an excellent question. And the reason I say that is I grew up in St. Thomas Down Street. I came from St. Kitts 5 years old. And I fell in love with these beautiful islands. And because I fell in love with the islands, when I went away to school to Boston, I returned home. And when I returned home, everything I have done have been for the betterment of the people of the Virgin Islands, from establishing a soup kitchen at First Wesleyan Holiness Church, to getting Brother Walker to do one at Deliverance Outreach Ministry, to now being a part of, for years, a part of United Way, helping them raise funds. But most of all, right now, my driven quest is to save our sons. And I go around preaching to boys on the street. I also go around telling people what we should do and how we should do it to control our guns. And I honestly believe that my life has been just that, fighting for the people of the Virgin Islands. And I will continue to fight for them to the last breath, because I love the Virgin Islands. I love it so much that I believe and strongly in the people that makes us what we are. I grew up in the days when what we had, we shared. We had national pride. I would like to see that we return it to those days when we all can be vested in who we are. So yes, I will fight for the people. Thank you.
And candidate Millen Emmanuel.
I will march wherever I have to. I will march with whomever I have to. When I look in the mirror, I have to like the person that looks back at me. I have to respect that person. And the way for me to do that is doing everything that I possibly can to make sure that these islands and the people of these islands are moving forward.